Greetings, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this Examining Your Perfectly Written Novel mini workshop. This is an accompaniment on my own initiative for the Positive Intelligence Advanced Coach Training. And I'm one of the coaches who is taking the course. This week's exercise is on examining your perfectly written novel. And in the week's video, we were guided through a contemplation. And this is a supplement, one of the ways one can follow through on that practice to get a little bit more out of it. So we did a contemplation. You could add a visualization component. We were invited to add a journaling component. And I'm adding this workshop. So as we begin the session, let's take a moment to get grounded. Let's do some mind fitness reps to calm that survival brain, all those saboteurs and the judge. Because what we're about to do is not a rational thinking process. We want to tap into our inner resources. It is an iterative process, an experiential process, a creative process. You are being invited to be this novelist, this memoir writer, this screenplay writer, this script writer, this director, editor, and all of that. So, what would the perfectly written novel look like? That's the question. And we want to move from fearful to fearless. We want to become fierce like a lion. So, whatever comes to you during this brief priming session, our startup ritual as we get into our practice, just go with it. And for the rest, let me support you. So, you want to perhaps listen to the sounds of my voice as I guide you. You can have your eyes open, half mask, that means it's relaxed gaze looking down or a little bit in your surroundings with an easy open focus, or you can have them shut. To make yourself comfortable now with your spine relatively erect, neck straight, supported by your spine, and you might be seated or lying down. So you want to notice any contact points. For example, your feet on the ground, firmly feeling supported. We can do now a tactile mind fitness rep. And one of our favorites is bringing thumb and the forefinger together. And with just enough pressure, rubbing them together so that you can feel those fingertips, those ridges, those grooves. As you are doing this now, you can continue while we redirect our attention to our breathing, or you can let your hands relax. Focus on your breath, and your chest expansive and open. Now focus on an exhale, allowing yourself to exhale fully. Notice that your body can relax with that. And you can inhale and exhale. And as you do this, you can notice the rise and the fall of your chest or stomach. Allow your breath to relax. There's no need to control it right now. And watch how breathing happens all by itself. As you focus on your breathing, you might notice it settle into a more natural rhythm, allowing you to relax and bring some ease to your practice. Now we can do some mind fitness reps with sound. You may open your eyes if you wish, if they were closed, and look around you a little, just with a light gaze to orient yourself to the room, not particularly focusing on anything. And listen to a sound that's furthest away from you. And note it. It might be birds. If you can hear a car going by, you can follow its sound. Now bring your attention closer to your body, and you might listen to the sound of your breathing. And again, if your eyes were closed, again, you can open them. Use your vision for your mind fitness reps. Focus on things, looking at colors, shapes, textures. And again, return perhaps to your hand. You can look at the palm of your hand. And there you can notice the lines, the grooves, the mountains, the raised parts, and the contrast. Notice how that can change a little, how it catches the light, the different tones in your skin. And with an easy fascination, then you can let that go. So welcome again to our session. What we will be doing in this first few minutes, I will share my screen, show you a slideshow that can accompany the work you already have done or about to do. And you can return to this time and time again, easing into the practice, and the more familiar you get with it, the more you will get out of it. So let me share my screen then. It's a slideshow I created. There we have it. Let's go all the way to the first slide. And I'm going to go into presentation mode. View, present. Breathe easy as it loads. So there we have it. That's me, my aspiration. You see the logo to my company. Doing my reps, and I like to see this kettlebell also as what I have to offer the world. And as I offer it, I get stronger and stronger. So we want to be this warrior. We want to tap into this vision we have by examining our perfectly written novel. And you will be familiar with what the exercise is asking of you. It's asking you to gather your strength, that you will take your life and you will create chapters of your life. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you will be asked to watch this as if this novel has now been taken to the big screen and you are the director. You're going to self-direct and you're going to look at all the strengths you gain in each chapter of your life, this hero that you are. And you're going to write the next chapter. So let's prepare to write the next chapter that is called the post-COVID chapter. We're going to remind yourself, March 2020, the world turned. It changed. You might call it there was chaos and confusion. And there's no going back. How old were you in March 2020? When we return to the next chapter, we will look at the present going forward. Chapter 5 is going to be that last bit leading up to COVID, to when you turn that certain age, when COVID started in March 2020. So it's going to be its stopping point. And then we're going to look at another chapter, semi-chapter, what you have learned, strengths you've gathered during COVID, and we're going to play that forward. So the 5 chapters, if you are 40, it'll be chapter 1. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So there'll be 8 years in each chapter. If you are 50, 10 years in each chapter. If you were 50 in March 2020. If you were 40 in March 2020. And then you will see I have some other plates up here. I like to see it as, well, these are going to go in the chapters. And I like to look at life in terms of its different arenas: work, energy, love, and learning. And obviously, when you were a baby in your first chapter, work wasn't a feature, but you maybe played at work or admired certain professions, or there might be skills you will identify in that phase of your life that you want to consider might be leveraged, that it has pay potential. For example, I know that I used to have these airmail envelopes and paper, and I used to sell them. So I was very enterprising. So let's look at it then. Work, energy. Energy is health, healing, well-being, love. These are any relationships, including your relationship with yourself, but also your passions. And then learning. What did you learn? Lessons that you put in your handbook or playbook, what teachers that you admired that taught you something. So there we're going to look at, like I said, work-wise, related to work, the pay potential, anything you did or that you now can see could have earned money. Maybe you babysat, maybe at home. Energy, I want to talk about in this segment. Energy, your personality, the energy of your personality, your temperament. And at the back of our mind, we also want to notice how, for example, our health, any healing or trauma But we don't want to revisit or relive trauma. But certain traumatic events, maybe an accident, etc., could have impacted your personality and well-being. Love, again, you're going to look at your passion, your hobbies, what you enjoy doing, what energized you. And then in your playbook, again, like we said, anybody that was influential, that you got a page from their book. And then we have the chapters. You want to slowly get an idea what ages you have. If you did the contemplation, you would already be able to map 0 to what age. If you were 40 in 2020 March, this will be 0 to 8, 8 to 16, for example. If you were 50 or 51, 52, you can sort of distribute a little bit. It won't be 100% even, but that's great. So 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. Perhaps you were 50 or 51 by the time you got to COVID. So you can add a year or so there. And then you will have COVID till now. So in the last, at the time of this recording, it's June 2021. So almost a year and a half, over a year. And then we will map this forward. So let's go to the next slide. So you can see the things that I have on the top in each plate, what you're going to be serving up and bringing to the table. We are putting it in chapter 1. You will put each of it there. Chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have these words down there as placeholders. We will go into them and I will type it. So if I was doing a workshop with you personally using this graphic facilitation, I will be able to overtype the specific examples. And I can give you an example of that now. For example, in personality, right? So in chapter 1, between birth and 10 years, if I was doing it for me. So I gave the example of pay. I can just relate that to my personality. I sold paper, I babysat, but I didn't charge. Yeah, so that was it. So I was enterprising, right? I was an entrepreneur. So personality, I had lots of energy. So energetic, outgoing to a certain extent. I was a leader and a teacher. I used to teach my siblings and a cousin that was much older what I learned at school each day. And I loved doing it. They actually still tell stories of all these things, all this teaching I did. What was my passion? One of my passions was drawing and coloring in and crafting. And in that period of my life, between 0 and 10, what influenced me? What books that I read? Or if I took a book, a page from somebody else's playbook, somebody admired, the teachers who were welcoming. I'm going to put that as be welcoming. So, welcoming. It doesn't have to make sense for anybody else. It's not a rational process. This is something you use your intuition to help you with. And what else do I think is important that had significant impact or left some impression? I would say there was some disappointment because I remember I had the shoebox and you had to color in something and submit it. It was a competition. And my mother pretended to have done so, and she didn't. So I liked engaging in life. I liked connecting with the world. Connect with the world. So it's like rolling with the world. And what else? I loved supporting younger children. I had a lot of compassion and empathy. So that's also like part of my personality. Compassion. And I wanted to be of service, of our right service. Well, let's put compassion and let it cover that. So I was compassionate. So there you have it. So I've got that, and you do that for your chapter. So I will return to the main screen, and I will ask you to take a piece of paper and just write chapter 1, and you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to I will talk you through these steps of what a contemplation, and you can fill in some words for that period of your life. And in a session with me, and there will probably be a part 2 and chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, and thereafter follow-up videos. I'd like to show you what we're going to do. So we will do it for each. And what I love is that you can do it on colored paper. So you have something to write with, something to write on. And you could write with colored pen or on plain paper, or you could write, there's any number of combinations. Or you could use colored paper and you make these little strips, or you could use cards, colored cards. This will come in useful later when we put it on a serving tray, and then we start pulling things out and creating pictures of possibility. But that will become, you don't have to worry about it. It'll become clearer as we proceed. So I've done it for chapter 1. We will do it for 2. We will do it for 3. We will do it for 4. We will do it for 5. And then we will put it on a serving tray. So some of those strips of paper will go here, and you'll see all the colors, and it will be from all the chapters in the end. So first it'll be chapter 1. Then we add them from chapter 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we start pulling some out, and we will put them in a picture of possibility. We'll put 1 per plate. And then from the different chapters, or from 1 chapter, or any mix of chapters. And then we will start writing out how that can be of service to the people we coach, how that can shape me, how that can add strength and skills and knowledge and power and experience and all those things to who I am as a coach and the service I can deliver. So thank you for examining your perfectly written novel. I will stop sharing, and I will take you through a little exercise. So you will get your pen and paper. You can pause the video if you need to get that. And you may not have colors close at hand. I usually have colors next to me often. Or you could have colored paper or Post-its. Or just use your pen And your paper, create some kind of grid so you have some. Let's see. So that you can cut more or less even looking strips. Something like that, as you can see. Oops, you can see through a little what's in the back. So there you have it. And then let's do this together. So this period of, so pen, pencil, plain paper is also fine. You can even color in later, or you can put little colored dots or something like that, or you can back it afterwards on colored paper. So when you were, for me, it's 0 to 10 years, so from birth. So think of that time. I'm going to examine this perfectly written novel. That period of your life, what were your experiences? What influenced you? What left an impression that can now be of value, that gives you something uniquely you to bring to the table, to offer your clients, to make an offering, a part of your coaching services. Some parts will be paid, some will be unpaid as part of your generous offerings to connect with potential clients. So in your prospecting, as your free gifts, etc. So this might indicate ways you want to deliver what you have to offer. So think of that first bit. You remember it was work, but work was referencing. You might have been enterprising. So things that you got paid for, potentially could get paid for, that you did, or that could be upscaled, that it becomes something like that. You were teaching, you were a personal trainer, you cooked, you performed, you drew. It's again, reminder, not a rational process. It's just a possibility. So write that. One thing, and we don't need to be too literal. Maybe you did babysitting, maybe you babysat your siblings, maybe it was a few minutes while your mother went to check a hot pot, or maybe you held a bottle, whatever. And afterwards, you can, from an adult perspective, tap into your intuition and say, how did you feel? Did it feel good? Were you proud? And is it something you can integrate in what you have to offer in a direct or indirect way? It's going to be a fun word to put into the pool of possibility, or the plate or serving tray, and then try to connect these different things. You might see themes, similar activities across the chapters. So let's go to the next one. We did work. Let's look at energy. The energy of your personality, any health things, any healing experiences, or your personality in relation to someone else experiencing health challenges or healing or super fit, wellness. What left an impression on you? So write that down. 0, the first, from birth to that first chapter. It could be any number of years depending on your age. So we did pay, we did personality. Now we're going to do love. We're going to do passion. who you loved, who loved you, relationships, healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, relationship with yourself. To write something down from there that you have learned from, you have become strong through. It left an impression. And this might overlap with the next segment where you think of a mentor, and that's fine too. In this formative years, perhaps your relationship with your parents that you learned something from, and maybe it put you at a disadvantage, but now you are aware. And so you want to help other people who had that challenge. And then we go to learning. What did you learn? Did you learn a skill? Maybe you learned to ride a bike and that was meaningful for you. You learned to swim, or you tried or something. What did you learn? What strengths did you discover? What did you learn about yourself? And this is the playbook also, a page from your playbook or somebody's handbook, somebody you admired, or you noticed something, even on TV, or you read something, or some book that grounded you, that inspired you. My daughter's, one of hers was, I'm not going to read any words today, by Dr. Seuss. And she did it for a show and tell at school when she was 4. And if nothing comes directly, it's also fine. You can just doodle it or leave it blank for now, and it will come to you afterwards. It's just to get the wheels turning. And then the next 2 is, and what else? So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, and I'm going to be silent. Think of anything else. You might get ideas for some of the others, or build on that. Think of another person, another relationship, another thing about your personality. Anything else that has an impact, made an impression, that you feel can inform what you have to offer to your clients, your coaches today. At any point when you're doing these exercises, if you find you're getting flustered or going into judge, use your mind fitness reps. Listen to a sound further away, close, focus on something, look at colors, look at shapes, or even look at what you've written, look at your handwriting, the color of the paper. You can look at the contrast without judgment. So that's it for chapter 1. I hope that you had a joyful experience. And so we're going to bring the session to a close. You can repeat this video and use it for every single chapter. or look out for follow-up chapters. Thank you for your practice. Again, may you stay well, may you stay safe, may you be strong, and may you continue to prosper from your practices, finding great reserves of strength, knowledge, power, energy that you can harness to be the contribution you desire to be as a coach, to make a difference.